Well, folks, we've got the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition hot off the presses. This is released from 2016, and the biggest takeaways you're going to get. The first big takeaway: Bill Clinton is absolutely a part of this. He is mentioned as one of the people uh, that is alleged to have been with one of the minors in this case, or minor at the time, who's part of this civil lawsuit, which is basically accusing Epstein and Maxwell of engaging in can there be consensual? There can't be non-consensual sex with minors, and Ghislaine Maxwell basically arranging the opportunities for Epstein, and from what I could see for the deposition, possibly her as well. The other big takeaway is going to be that that same minor, as a matter of fact, Ghislaine Maxwell is alleged to have met at Mar-a-Lago. So there is the connection to Donald Trump. So that is probably what you're mostly going to hear from the mainstream media, because, of course, and if the mainstream media was controlled by Republicans, everybody would focus on the Bill Clinton thing. Now, what they would say is that Ghislaine Maxwell flat out basically says this Virginia woman that she's essentially a liar, and you'll see that coming up in a little bit here. And she says she denies ever seeing Bill Clinton in this with whatever. She denies it. She denies ever seeing Bill Clinton at Jeffrey Epstein's house or anything. So I would imagine that the media is basically just not going to want to talk about that part. They're just probably going to focus on the whole Mar-a-Lago part. Who's the one? You know who? Yeah. Okay. I mean, even though Bill Clinton is being accused of being part of this, whereas Donald Trump's Donald Trump is not even being accused of anything. Possibly, I mean, you don't want that kind of association with you. So there's that. That's a problem. I mean, that's legitimately and political enemy wise, that's a problem. But at worst, he's being accused of possibly inadvertently being a hookup spot for Ghislaine Maxwell to connect underage girls to Jeffrey Epstein. So we get to this part of the deposition, though, which I find utterly fascinating. I just love. Where are we at here? Where are we at? Oh, I'm doing back too far. Okay. Where are we at here? Okay, here we go. Miss Maxwell, before the break, we were talking about, and I think it's one of the exhibits that's marked in front of you, I'm not sure the number, now that you have knowledge of the police report, objection to form, whatever, can you repeat the question, please? Now that you have the police report that I showed you this morning that you had an opportunity to look at, you gave it to me, I did not look at it. That's Ghislaine Maxwell. The questions that I've asked you about the police report. You're aware there is a report. I'm aware there is a report. You're aware there was a criminal investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. I am aware that there was thought. Now that you are aware of these two things and have talked to Jeffrey Epstein, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? And this is the fun part. This is when you're going to see. Now, I'm going to, all the little objection to forms, I'm going to ignore that. I may skip over, abbreviate, because this could go on for a while if I actually read this. Look at that. I found a typo. Can you read the second part of that question? I found a typo in the deposition. Yay me. Okay. Can you read the second part of that question? Sure. The two documents we were talking about, blah, blah, blah. All right. And here we go. Now that you said you are aware and have, after having talked to Jeffrey Epstein, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? What do you mean I talked to Jeffrey? You need to break that question down further. So you have the police record. And you are aware of the criminal investigation? Let's take those two things. After knowing those two things, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein abused minor children. Can you explain what you mean by the question exactly? I think the question speaks for itself. I'll try again. I'll say it one more time because I want you to be able to understand it. Knowing that you have the police report here and knowing about the criminal investigation, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I know what you put in front of me. I know what I read. I'm asking you what you believe. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I can only tell you what I read and what you showed me. I'm asking what you believe from your own belief. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I can only go from what I know personally and what I know personally about what Virginia's lies have talked about. She's the only person I know that actually claimed that, and I can say with certainties that everything Virginia said was a lie. You're aware Jeffrey Epstein was sentenced for sexual abuse. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein served time for sexual abuse of a minor? I don't believe that's what he was sentenced for. Actually, so you don't know that Jeffrey Epstein served time for sexually abusing a minor? I don't believe that's what he was sentenced for. Do you know that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted for procuring a minor for prostitution? I don't exactly know what he was convicted of. I don't know that he was convicted. I know he spent time in jail. Do you know that he spent time in jail relating to an issue with a minor child? I did not know that. What do you think he was spending time in jail for? I only know he went to jail for it was alleged that he had an underage prostitute. So knowing that, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I can only tell you what he went to jail for. I'm asking what you believe. I'm not asking what he went to jail for. I'm asking for your belief. I cannot testify to what I believe. I can only say what I've seen in reports, and I know he went to jail. You can testify to what you believe. Do you believe? I can only testify. Let me finish the question so the record is clear. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I can only testify to what I know. I know that Virginia is a liar, and I know what she testified is a lie. So I can only testify to what I know to be a falsehood, and half those falsehoods are enormous. And so I can only categorically deny everything she has said, and that is the only thing I can talk about because I have no knowledge of anything else. I'm not asking about Virginia. I'm asking whether you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors. Again, I repeat. I can only go on what I know, and what I know is a falsehood based on what Virginia said. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, I repeat, Virginia's a liar. Based on Virginia's stories, that is what she lied, and I can only then talk about what you showed to the police reports, and I know that he went to jail. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I'm asking about your belief. Again, I just repeat, I can only go, my belief is Virginia is a liar. What does that believe? She's an absolute liar, and everything she said is a lie, and therefore everything that stems from that is a lie. So, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, can we move on from here? No! You're going to answer the question. I have already. No, you haven't. I have. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, I repeat, the only person I know who has talked about these things that I have was personally present was Virginia, and I can only talk to Virginia, and she is a liar. Setting aside Virginia, take her out of the picture. It's my question. We're here today because of Virginia and her lies, because this is a defamation suit. Setting aside Virginia, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I cannot set aside Virginia because that's why we are here, and this is the only reason I'm sitting here in this room, and I will not set her aside, and I cannot comment about anything else except her because she's the only person I actually know about. Are you refusing to answer that question? I'm not refusing to answer the question. I can only testify about Virginia, who's an absolute total liar, and you all know she is. She lied about her age. You know she lied about absolutely everything. So I can only go on what I know as a liar. And she is a liar, an exaggerator, a fantasticist, an absolutely true, terrible person. I want to listen. I want you to listen. I want you to listen very carefully. I am asking you to set aside Virginia. I can't set aside Virginia. I'm asking you to do that for the purpose of this question.
She doesn't have to. She can refuse to answer the question.
I'm not refusing to answer the question. You are refusing. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. Let me make the record here. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. I want it to be clear for the court. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. What I'm asking you is whether you believe Jeffrey Epstein abused minors. I object to the form and you made your record. She answered the question. A fair reading of her answer is she doesn't have a belief because she doesn't have any personal knowledge. Now, are you testifying for the witness? Let her answer the question. It's a fair answer to the question. Again, I testified. My only personal knowledge concerns Virginia, and everything Virginia has said is an absolute lie, which is why we are here in this room. If you're asking me to testify about things I have no knowledge of other than the police report that you showed me, I'm not in a position to make a statement based on that because you are asking me to speculate, and I cannot speculate. I'm not asking about your belief. I'm not asking you to speculate at all, okay? I am asking what you believe. You're asking me to speculate, and I won't speculate. I'm not asking you to speculate. I'm asking what you believe. She answered on the question, and we can move on. She hasn't answered the question. We are not going to engage in this debate. She answered the question. If you want to mark it and move to compel an answer to the question, have at it, okay? Miss Maxwell, is it your belief that Jeffrey Epstein interacted sexually with minors? Again, you're asking me the same type of question exactly, but with different language. Again, my only knowledge of somebody who claims these things that I have personal knowledge of is Virginia. And Virginia's an absolute liar. And everything that knows, as she says, is a lie. Therefore, based on those lies, I cannot speculate on what anybody else did or didn't, because if Virginia is the example of what the story is, and everything she said is false, so everything that leads from that is false. So the other 30 minor children in the police report are also telling lies about being sexually abused during massages with Mr. Epstein? Objecting to the form and foundation. Counsel, can you show me in these police reports who these 30 minors are? I'm asking my questions. You're making a representation about numbers. You're making a representation on the record about what people said or didn't say. We have no knowledge about that. These are all redacted records, so these are bad questions. They don't lead to any admissible evidence. It's only being propounded to the witness to harass her. So we are done with these questions. Are you done? Yes. My question is, are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of having relations with a minor child? She answered that question already. I'm getting to my next question. Ask your next question. Next question. Don't keep asking the same question. You are now shouting. I want the record to reflect that you are interrupting the deposition. I ask you to be calm. I ask you to calm down. Take a deep breath. And please, let me ask my questions. Your behavior is inappropriate. I will ask you again. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein interacted sexually with minors? Again, I go back to this. My only actual knowledge is with Virginia. Virginia was a liar, so I can only talk to what Virginia's story. And as I said before, and there are so many examples, I mean thousands of examples of her lies, that is the only thing I could talk to. Based on that, do you not believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, as I said, I'm only talking to what I know. I can only talk to Virginia. So is it your belief that Jeffrey Epstein did not sexually abuse minors? Again, I can only talk to what I know, and what I know is Virginia is a liar, and that what she said is a lie. So I can only testify to what she accused, and you guys put in the press for salacious purposes and whatever terrible, inappropriate, unethical, and terrible reasons you chose to do that about me, and I can testify. Those are all lies. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused any minor children? Again, I only know 1,000% that Virginia is a liar. I can only talk to Virginia, her lies, and your inappropriate, unethical, really unattractive, terrible use of her, and the way that you have abused the system, used the press for the purpose that are unethical, inappropriate, and appalling. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein used massages to lure minors to have sex with him. Again, this is Virginia's testimony, which is a lie, but do you believe that? Again, I refer back to Virginia. I'm asking whether you believe it or not. I can only go with that, and I know Virginia is a liar, and therefore that's a lie. So you don't believe that? I said I only know that Virginia is lying. Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein is a registered sex offender? I am. Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein paid considerable amounts of money to settle lawsuits with the minor children that he had sexual contact with? I have no knowledge of those issues. Why did you continue to maintain contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pled guilty? I'm a very loyal person, and Jeffrey was very good to me when my father passed away, and I believe that you need to be a good friend in people's hours of need, and I felt it was a very thoughtful, nice thing for me to do to help in a very limited fashion, which was helping if he had any issue with his homes in terms of the staffing issues. It was very minor, but I felt it was very thoughtful in somebody's hours of need that he can, well, there you go. I think I'm going to leave it there. And there you go. Truly, truly.